I was living what I thought was the perfect life with Sophia and our 8-year-old twins Thomas and Emma, our beautiful home in Pennsylvania, my stable job in finance, and our 10 years of marriage had built what I believed was an unshakable foundation. Every night, I would kiss my wife goodnight with complete trust, believing we would grow old together, watching our children flourish. Looking back now, I should have noticed the subtle changes in her behavior after she started hanging out with that new group of friends. The morning I discovered that email changed everything. Before I tell you how my perfect life shattered in just one day, let me know where you are watching from and hit that like and subscribe button if you have ever trusted someone completely, only to be blindsided by betrayal. Sophia and I met during our sophomore year at Penn State. I still remember the first time I saw her in our economics class, her dark hair falling over her shoulders as she concentrated on taking notes. It took me 3 weeks to work up the courage to ask her for coffee. That coffee date turned into dinner, which turned into movie nights, and before we knew it, we were inseparable. She was studying business administration while I was pursuing finance. We complemented each other perfectly, or so I thought. After graduation, I landed a job at a financial firm in Philadelphia, and Sophia started working for a marketing company. We moved into a tiny apartment together and spent evenings planning our future on our secondhand couch. 2 years later, I proposed during a weekend trip to the Pocono Mountains. The wedding was everything we had dreamed of, intimate and personal, with just our closest friends and family. The early years of our marriage were challenging but fulfilling. We struggled with student loans and entry-level salaries, but we faced everything as a team. When we discovered Sophia was pregnant with twins, the initial shock gave way to excitement. I would spend nights talking to her growing belly, promising our unborn children the world. Thomas and Emma were born on a rainy Tuesday in April. I cried when I held them for the first time, overwhelmed by the tiny fingers wrapping around mine. The first year was a blur of sleepless nights and endless diaper changes, but every exhausted moment was worth it when they smiled or laughed. Sophia was an amazing mother, patient and loving even during the toughest moments. As the years passed, we settled into a comfortable routine. I would make breakfast every morning while Sophia packed lunches for the kids. Weekends were filled with soccer games, art classes, and family movie nights. Thomas was the quieter one, thoughtful and creative, while Emma was outgoing and fearless, always the first to try something new. We celebrated birthdays with homemade cakes, took summer trips to the beach, and created traditions that I thought would last a lifetime. When the twins turned 7, Sophia decided to join a local gym to, as she put it, get back in shape. That is where she met Allison, Jessica, and Megan, women who would ultimately change the course of our lives. Allison had been divorced 3 times, each marriage ending with substantial financial settlements. Jessica was dating a wealthy business owner who showered her with expensive gifts. Megan constantly bragged about manipulating her husband into buying her luxury items. I noticed subtle changes in Sophia after she started spending more time with them. She began coming home later from her supposed workout sessions, talking about designer brands she suddenly could not live without, and making comments about how other women in their circle had husbands who earned more or had more prestigious jobs. I dismissed these changes as a temporary phase, believing our bond was strong enough to weather this superficial influence. When Sophia suggested we needed to upgrade our perfectly functional 5-year-old SUV to a luxury vehicle, I explained that it was not in our budget. She sulked for days afterward. Later, I found a text message from Allison telling Sophia she deserved better and should not settle for less. I confronted Sophia about it, and she laughed it off, saying I was being paranoid and reading too much into a harmless conversation between friends. The weekend trips with her new friends became more frequent: Vegas, Miami, New York. I stayed home with the kids, telling myself that Sophia deserved some fun and time for herself. If only I had recognized these warning signs for what they truly were. Instead, I convinced myself everything was fine, that this was just a phase that would pass, and our life would return to normal soon enough. It was a Tuesday morning in March when everything fell apart. The twins were eating breakfast before school, arguing playfully about whose art project was better. I was looking for a document I needed to email to a client when I noticed Sophia had left her laptop open on the kitchen counter. I was about to close it when an email caught my eye. The subject line read, "Acceptance of Senior Marketing Director Position." My heart began racing as I read the email confirming Sophia had accepted a senior position at a prestigious marketing firm in Los Angeles. The email was dated 3 months earlier and included details about relocation assistance, starting date, and salary. The number made my eyes widen. It was nearly double what she was making currently. But that was not what shocked me. It was the realization that my wife had been planning to move across the country without telling me. I immediately tried calling her office, only to be told by her assistant that Sophia had called in sick that day. I tried her cell phone next, but it went straight to voicemail. Just as panic was setting in, my phone buzzed with a text message from an unfamiliar number. "Preston, this is Sophia. I am already in California. I have been thinking about this for a long time and realized I need a fresh start. My lawyer will be in touch about divorce proceedings. I am sorry to do it this way, but I knew you would try to change my mind. This marriage has been holding me back from the life I deserve. The kids will understand when they are older." I stood in our kitchen, unable to process what I was reading. How could the woman I had built a life with for over a decade walk away so coldly? What would I tell our children? How could she believe they would understand being abandoned by their mother? When the twins asked where Mommy was that evening, I could barely form words. I told them she had to take a trip for work, buying myself time to figure out how to explain the unexplainable. That night, after tucking them into bed, I broke down in our bedroom, sobbing until my throat was raw. The betrayal cut deeper than anything I had ever experienced. The next day, Thomas refused to go to school, clinging to me and asking repeatedly when Mom would be back. Emma, on the other hand, grew uncharacteristically quiet, her usual exuberance replaced with a solemn silence that broke my heart even further. I called in sick to work, knowing I needed to be with them. While the twins were watching television, I checked our joint bank account, only to discover Sophia had withdrawn $60,000, nearly all our savings, 2 weeks earlier. A quick search of the house revealed she had taken most of her clothes, family photo albums, and even some of the expensive jewelry I had given her over the years. That evening, my best friend Daniel came over after I sent him a desperate text. After the kids were asleep, I told him everything. His face grew increasingly troubled as I spoke. When I finished, he hesitated before sharing something that sent another wave of pain through me. "I saw Sophia having dinner with a man at Le Méridien 3 weeks ago," he admitted. "They looked pretty intimate, holding hands across the table. I assumed you knew that maybe it was a business associate or something. I should have said something. I am so sorry, Preston." The pieces were starting to fit together in the most painful puzzle imaginable. While searching for important documents in Sophia's desk, I found her old phone, which she had apparently forgotten to take. The password was still the same, our wedding date. The text messages I discovered between her and her friends made me physically ill. "Got the offer in LA," Allison had written. "Time to upgrade your life and find a real man who can give you everything you deserve." Sophia had responded, "Marcus is already talking about taking me to Paris once I move out there. He says his beach house has the most amazing view. I cannot wait to leave all this mediocrity behind." Marcus, her new boss. The man she had been secretly seeing while planning her escape from our family. The reality of her deception was so complete, so calculated, that I felt like I was drowning in betrayal. The divorce papers arrived by courier 3 days later. Sophia was not only seeking a divorce, but demanding full custody of the twins, with limited visitation for me, claiming her new position offered a better quality of life for the children. She also wanted to sell our family home and split the proceeds, despite knowing it would uproot the twins from the only home they had ever known. I had to hire a lawyer I could barely afford. Frank Peterson was recommended by a colleague who had gone through a similar situation. His retainer fee alone wiped out what little remained in my checking account after Sophia left. "This is one of the most egregious cases of abandonment I have seen," Frank told me after reviewing the documents. "Do not worry, Preston. No judge is going to award custody to a mother who abandoned her children without warning." While the legal battle began, I was fighting an even more difficult battle at home. The twins were struggling in different ways. Thomas had started wetting the bed again, something he had not done since he was 4. Emma was having angry outbursts at school, pushing other children and talking back to teachers. Their guidance counselor suggested therapy, another expense I could barely manage but knew was necessary. Nights were the hardest. After tucking the children in, I would sit alone in the living room, surrounded by memories of a life that no longer existed. Sleep became elusive, as my mind raced with worries about finances, the custody battle, and how to help my children heal from a wound I could not fully understand myself. Meanwhile, Sophia was spreading lies among our mutual friends. She claimed I had been emotionally distant, that I had neglected her needs for years, that she had been unhappy, but I had refused to listen. Some friends believed her distancing themselves from me when I needed support most. Others saw through the deception, but their support, while valuable, could not fill the gaping hole her betrayal had left. Work became increasingly difficult. I could not focus making mistakes that drew concerned comments from my supervisor. The thought of losing my job on top of everything else kept me awake at night, staring at the ceiling and wondering how much more I could bear. One night after an especially difficult day when Emma had cried for her mother during bedtime, I sat on the bathroom floor at 2 in the morning, feeling more alone than I ever had. The weight of single-parenthood financial strain and heartbreak seemed impossible to carry. For a brief dark moment, I wondered if the children would be better off with someone else, someone who was not broken. The thought scared me enough to seek help. The breaking point came exactly 1 month after Sophia left. While scrolling through social media, trying to distract myself from the mounting bills on the kitchen table, I saw a post that made my stomach drop. Sophia had changed her relationship status and posted a photo of herself with a tall, silver-haired man on a yacht, a massive diamond ring prominently displayed on her finger. The caption read, "When you finally find the life and love you deserve. Number, blessed number, upgrade your life." I could not breathe. The speed with which she had replaced our family, our history, was unfathomable. That same day, I received an email from her lawyer, pushing for a quick sale of our house, claiming Sophia and her new fiancé wanted to establish college funds for the twins with her portion of the proceeds. The hypocrisy was staggering. The final straw came during a scheduled video call between Sophia and the twins. She appeared on screen from what looked like a luxury apartment designer, sunglasses perched on her head, looking more like a stranger than the woman who had given birth to our children. "Hi, sweethearts," she exclaimed with forced cheerfulness. "I miss you both so much." The twins, initially excited to see their mother, grew increasingly subdued as she explained she would not be able to visit for their upcoming birthday because she and Marcus were taking a business trip to Tokyo. "But you promised you would come," Emma said, her voice small and hurt. "You said you would bring our presents in person." "I know, honey, but this is a really important trip for my career. We will celebrate when I see you next month, okay?" Thomas said nothing, simply walking away from the screen with slumped shoulders. Emma followed shortly after, leaving me alone with the image of my soon-to-be ex-wife. The silence between us was deafening. "You know this is destroying them, right?" I finally said. She had the audacity to look annoyed. "They will adjust, Preston. Kids are resilient. They deserve the opportunities my new life can give them. Once the custody arrangement is finalized and they move out here with me, they will understand." I ended the call without another word, then held my sobbing children as they processed yet another disappointment. That night, as I lay awake listening to Thomas whimpering in his sleep, I hit rock bottom. Something had to change, and I realized it had to start with me. The turning point came when I found a support group for single parents at our community center. The first meeting was intimidating, sitting in a circle with strangers who seemed to have their lives more together than I did. But as we began sharing our stories, I realized everyone was struggling in their own way. Through the group, I met Lisa Hernandez, a family therapist who specialized in helping children through parental separation. She offered to see the twins at a reduced rate, understanding our financial situation. "Children often blame themselves when a parent leaves," she explained during our first consultation. "They need consistent reassurance that this was not their fault, and that one parent leaving does not mean the other will too." Her words hit home, making me realize I had been so consumed by my own pain that I had not fully addressed the twins' fears of abandonment. With Lisa's guidance, I began implementing new routines and communication strategies that slowly helped them process their feelings. I also started taking care of myself, physically recognizing that my well-being directly impacted my ability to care for the children. I joined a gym that offered childcare, bringing the twins along 3 times a week. The physical exertion helped clear my mind, and the endorphins provided much-needed emotional relief. My sister Amanda, who lived 2 hours away, began visiting every other weekend, giving me brief periods to catch up on work or simply rest. Her presence provided a female influence for the twins, particularly Emma, who had started questioning whether all mommies leave their families. "No, sweetheart," Amanda assured her. Most mommies and daddies stay and work through hard times together. What your mom did is not normal or okay, but it says nothing about you and everything about her choices. On the legal front, things began to turn in our favor. Frank had been collecting evidence of Sophia abandonment and the stable home environment I was maintaining despite the circumstances. He also obtained the text messages between Sophia and her friends, showing the premeditated nature of her departure and her prioritization of wealth and status over family. During our court date, the judge was visibly disturbed by the evidence presented. Sophia appeared with her expensive lawyer wearing designer clothes and a cold expression that did not soften, even when discussing the children. Mrs. Blackwood, the judge, addressed Sophia using her maiden name at her request. Can you explain why you felt it necessary to leave the state without informing your husband or saying goodbye to your children? Her response was rehearsed and hollow. I was in an unfulfilling relationship that was stifling my personal growth. The opportunity in California represented a chance to build a better life for myself and eventually for my children. The judge was unimpressed. And you believe abandoning 8-year-old twins without explanation demonstrates good parenting judgment. Sophia faltered, looking to her lawyer for support. I made decisions under extreme emotional duress. I always intended to bring the children to California once I was settled. The judge reviewed the evidence once more before delivering her ruling. Mr. Rhodes has demonstrated consistent care and stability for the children during this difficult transition, while Mrs. Blackwood has shown concerning judgment and prioritized personal desires over her children's needs. Primary physical custody is awarded to the father with supervised visitation for the mother every other weekend should she return to Pennsylvania. The family home will remain with the children and Mr. W.W. Rhodes with appropriate financial adjustments to the overall settlement. The relief I felt was indescribable. We could stay in our home. The twins would not be uprooted. I had won not just the case, but the opportunity to rebuild our lives on stable ground. With the legal battle behind us, I could focus fully on healing and moving forward. My work performance improved to the point that my supervisor called me into his office 3 months after the court decision. Preston, you have shown remarkable resilience during an incredibly difficult personal situation, he said. We would like to offer you the senior financial analyst position that just opened up. It comes with a 20% salary increase and more flexible hours. The promotion could not have come at a better time. It allowed me to begin rebuilding our savings and create college funds for the twins. More importantly, the flexible schedule meant I could be more present for school events and after-school activities. The twins were healing too. Thomas had joined a youth robotics club where he was flourishing his natural creativity, finding a positive outlet. Emma had started taking swimming lessons and announced she wanted to compete someday. Both were doing better in school, their teachers noting improvements in both academic performance and social interactions. Weekends became times for new traditions. Saturday mornings were for pancakes in fun shapes followed by outdoor adventures regardless of weather. Sunday evenings were for family board games and planning the week ahead together. We started a memory jar where we would write down good moments on slips of paper, a tangible reminder that happiness was still possible and present in our lives. 6 months after the court ruling on a rainy Sunday afternoon, the doorbell rang. When I opened the door, I nearly did not recognize the woman standing there. Sophia's hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, her face free of makeup, her designer clothes replaced by jeans and a plain sweater. The confident, almost arrogant woman who had sat in court had been replaced by someone who looked defeated and exhausted. "Can I come in?" she asked, her voice small. I hesitated before stepping aside. The twins were at Amanda House for the day, a regular arrangement that gave them quality time with their aunt and cousins. Sophia looked around the living room, noting the changes I had made. New family photos that did not include her. The twins' recent art projects displayed proudly on the walls. "You have done well," she said, an unmistakable note of surprise in her voice. "We manage," I replied, maintaining a distance between us. "Why are you here, Sophia? You have not used any of your visitation rights in the 3 months since they were granted." She sank onto the edge of the couch, looking at her hands. "Marcus left me," she finally said. "He met a 25-year-old model at an industry event last month. By the following weekend, my things were packed and I was out of his beach house." Despite everything she had done, a small part of me felt sorry for her. It was a hollow victory to see my predictions about her new relationship come true. That is not all, she continued. Allison, Jessica, Megan. They all dropped me the moment I was not with Marcus anymore. Suddenly, I was not invited to their parties or shopping trips. It turns out those friendships were as superficial as everything else in that life. She looked up at me, tears streaming down her face. I made the biggest mistake of my life, Preston. I threw away the only real thing I ever had for a fantasy that fell apart at the first test. I miss the twins. I miss our life. I even miss you. Her words, which might once have been all I wanted to hear now, rang hollow. The woman sitting before me was a stranger who happened to look like someone I used to love. "Where are you staying?" I asked, deliberately avoiding her implicit plea. "With my parents for now," she replied. "Dad is not speaking to me. Mom is trying to be supportive, but I can tell she is disappointed. Everyone is." She wiped her eyes. "I want to see the kids. I want to try to make this right somehow." Over the following weeks, I allowed Sophia supervised visits with the twins. Their initial reactions were mixed. Thomas was cautiously happy to see his mother, while Emma remained angry and distant, refusing hugs and answering questions with single words. "Why did you leave us?" Thomas finally asked. During the third visit, the question that had obviously been weighing on him. Sophia looked startled, then deeply ashamed. "I made a very bad decision," she answered honestly. "I thought I wanted a different kind of life, and I was very wrong. I hurt you both, and I am so sorry." Emma, who had been coloring and pretending not to listen, looked up sharply. "Are you coming back to live with us now?" "No, sweetheart," I interjected gently. "Mom will have her own place, but she wants to spend time with you both." The healing process was slow, and not without setbacks. Sophia, to her credit, remained consistent with visits and began attending family therapy sessions with us. She found a job at a local marketing firm, rented a small apartment nearby, and slowly began rebuilding her relationship with the twins. As for me, the experience had changed me in ways I never could have anticipated. I had discovered strengths I never knew I possessed, a resilience that had carried me through the darkest period of my life. The bond with my children had deepened through our shared experience of loss and recovery. At a school function 6 months after Sophia returned to Pennsylvania, I met Laura Matthews, a third-grade teacher with a warm smile and genuine interest in my stories about the twins. Our first date was coffee after school hours, a simple conversation that felt refreshingly honest and uncomplicated. As our relationship developed, she demonstrated a natural rapport with Thomas and Emma, never trying to replace their mother but offering her own unique connection with them. Now, a year after that devastating morning when I discovered the email that changed everything, life has found a new rhythm. The twins split time between our home and Sophia apartment, though they live primarily with me. Laura and I are building something honest and real, based on mutual respect and shared values. Sophia and I maintain a cordial relationship focused entirely on co-parenting. The most unexpected outcome of this painful journey has been the discovery that happiness can take new forms, that endings can become beginnings, if you allow them to be. The betrayal that once felt like it would destroy me instead forced me to become stronger, more self-reliant, and ultimately more open to authentic connections. Sometimes the worst betrayals lead us to our greatest strengths, and what seems like an ending can actually be the first page of a much better story. I wonder what unexpected chapter life is preparing to write in your journey right now. If my story resonated with you, please leave a comment below sharing how you have overcome betrayal or unexpected change in your own life. Like and subscribe if you want to hear more stories of resilience and new beginnings, and share this video with someone who might need to hear that pain does not have the final word. Thank you for listening, and remember that your darkest moments might just be preparing you for your brightest future.